What's up, guys? Winter Kills, and we are back with another video. And today we are here with my first top 10 decks of the format video. And this is something I've wanted to do for a while now. I think it's really fun to do. And obviously this is all based on my personal opinion, so don't freak out at me if you completely disagree with me. You know, if you think I'm an idiot or something for, you know, the reason I have certain decks where they are. Just go ahead and tell me in the comments, you know, what you think I got wrong. Obviously it's all opinion based, but if you think I got something right, please tell me why. Or what you think, or what your opinions are on the top 10 decks. Or if there's anything I forgot to add about a certain deck, go ahead and leave in the comment section below. That'd be really helpful, and I'd be really appreciative of that. So yeah, moving on. For number 10 spot, we have Six Samurai. Six Samurai is a deck that's been getting, you know, somewhat attention recently. Did very well at YCS Milan. I believe it topped there. I don't know what place exactly. I know it did very, very well because a lot of people weren't expecting it, and a lot of people didn't have that much to side against it because the deck itself can main D-Fish or Macro, which those two cards right now are very, very good, even against Clifford's, because their monsters will get banished instead of being sent to the extra deck, which obviously hurts them very well. They also have amazing search power. They have their 3 Smoke Signal. They have their 3 Rhoda. You know, Shien is a very good card right now. A lot of people don't, you know, see it as a good card right off the bat, but being able to neg a spell or trap card once per turn can really, really hurt a deck, especially like Burning Abyss or Clifford's, because, you know, be honest here, like, if you can't get your first turn scout off, if you can't, you know, be able to resolve your Fire Lakes, odds are you're going to have a bad time. And they can make Beast and Barkion very easy, which are also 2 very good synchro cards that are out right now that a lot of people, I feel like, will be trying to play more and incorporate more. Although you need Earth-type monsters for them, I feel like decks that can play it, like Six Samurai, can do very well in the current meta. So, number 9, we have Madolche. Angeli is still a very good card. I do believe there's a combo that they can open up with this card, which will leave you with them with like triple Levier and Madolche, Tiramisu, or whatever. I'm not really too familiar with the deck, but I know what it can do. It can swarm the field really easy. It doesn't rely on the graveyard too much, which is a pretty good advantage over most of the decks today, because, you know, a Soul Drain will stop most of the decks out right now, like Burning Abyss and Infernal Eights and stuff like that. And they also have Tiramisu, which is still an amazing card right now. You know, a double compulse is always something really good to have. So that's why I have this at number 9. Number 8, we have Artifacts. I know that Mortal Attack was just recently hit to 1. However, they didn't have anything else in the deck. And Scythe, I feel like, is a really good card right now because being able to stop your opponent from going to their extra deck basically will stop their entire play, because a lot of decks now revolve around going into their extra deck, especially Burning Abyss, which really will hurt them. And I feel like it'll give a lot of decks that kind of splashes Archetype in a lot more support, like Shadal's. I know a lot of Shadal decks are playing the Artifact Scythe now instead of Mortal Attack, you know, in place of the 3 or 2 or whatever they were playing. They have an amazing Clifford matchup. They have a lot of back row hate. You know, they can keep terrorizing their scales with the double Cyclones, the Ignitions, the Mortal Attack, you know, and it just stuns really well, and they have an amazing access to Pleiades, a lot of rank 5s, Tyrus, Volcasaurus. Still very, very good cards right now that a lot of decks don't have easy access to, but this deck still does. Number 7, we have Spellbooks, and they're still alright. They're not as good as they used to be, obviously. They still have Fate, World, amazing search power. They can open up very consistent, but I also feel like, you know, maybe sometime in the future this deck will be given a little relief from the ban list, and when I say that, maybe they'll bring Fate back to 2, or they might bring Judgment back to 1. I know that sounds a little outlandish, but I feel like it could happen. I mean, they brought Raigeki back, they brought back Snatch Steal, so I feel like now anything is possible with Konami's been up to. So yeah, that's why I have Spellbooks at 7. Next we have Sylvan. Obviously there you can see that fantastic picture of Glow Bulb. He is now back in the game, as you may know, and it gives this deck a lot of support with their synchro plays and makes the Sylvan archetype more prone to play a lot more synchros, which can make their, fields absolutely incredible. They also have Reasoning at 3 now, which is an amazing card. I know it was intended to give Infernal Eight a lot more support, but it has also managed to give this deck a hand, in the process. They also have easy access to Felgrand, Draco, and Big Eye, and Lonefire Soul Charge is still an incredible play with this deck. Even though Soul Charge is 1, it's still a play they can open up with, which will leave, your opponent in a very losing position, because they can make, double Felgrand, Draco, Stardust, which is just ridiculous to get over. And I feel like hitting Soul Charge was good to stop this deck because that play was absolutely ridiculous. But I still feel like they can give this deck and plants in general more support in the future, and that's why I have it at number 6. Next we have Mermails at 5. They just got gunned at 3, which I know a lot of Mermail players are really excited about, my brother being one of them. It makes their OTK power absolutely incredible. Being able to pitch a title and a gun, sending a Megalo, and then being able to special that Megalo is pretty awesome, and then bringing out that title for an instant rank 7 into Gaios probably, and having that skill drain ability and stopping those attacks is really nice. They also have access to 2200 Dwellers, and being able to pump up their other monsters as well with Nightmare Shark is pretty scary because they can poke with like a 3100 title directly, which is scary, and their OTK power has gone through the roof now with Gun being at 3, and that's why I put them at number 5. Next at 4, we have Shaddoll. Basically, their OTK power is greater than it's ever been, even though Super Poly is now, out of their arsenal of cards to OTK with. They still have that Battle Phase fusion with El Shaddoll fusion. Wind is an amazing card still. Very good stun card. They have easy access to DAD and BLS, which any deck that can have that is in good shape. Dango Sekka is still a very good card that this deck has been able to play, and has a lot of creative builds have come out of this archetype. A lot of different cards. I know a lot of builds are playing Hidden Arsenal to search their new fusion card, Nef Shaddoll fusion, and their Snatch Steal. The Econ is also an amazing card. They can just steal all your monsters and OTK you with them. Excuse me. And Construct is also an easy out to problem cards like Falgran and stuff, and as well Leo, which also gives this deck a lot of support. Yeah, and I feel like their Water Shaddoll fusion coming out probably like in Crossover Souls, or the next like Dragons of Legend type set. I forgot what it's called. It's a new like Arsenal set or something, where you get 5 hollows or whatever. They might be getting it then. Not really sure exactly, but I feel like the Water Shaddoll one, there's a lot of rumors going around that card will be absolutely incredible, and obviously Nef Shaddoll will be that much better of a card because you won't have to play a water monster in the deck, obviously, to go ahead and make that. So I feel like this deck has a very good future, depending on how that fusion monster turns out. And yeah, so that's why they're at number 4. So next we have Sotelo Nights. They have easy access to Dweller, which is so good right now. Being able to make that instant rank 4, Vega, Deneb, search your Altair, make a Dweller. Amazing first turn against Burning Abyss, Shaddoll, Infernoid. A lot of decks that rely on their graveyard, which is most of the meta except Cliffworts. They just received their new Diamond card, Sotelo Knight, Constellar Diamond. Basically, neither player can send cards from their deck to the grave, and any card added from grave to hand is banished instead. So basically, the Burning Abyss and Shaddoll killer, which is, I feel like, has bumped this archetype back into the top 3 because it can counter those decks very easily now, which where it had a problem in the past, now has an easy out too. So yeah, it definitely puts this deck up to top 3. They still also have Alpha. They still also have amazing search power, 3 Deneb and 3 Rhoda, and they can swarm the field very easily, and that gives this deck, the sort of the rights to be at number 3 now. So next at number 2, we have a tie between Infernoid and Cliffwort. Infernoid obviously being the new archetype that just came out in Secrets of Eternity, and Cliffwort had just got their second round of support just now with Stealth, Monolith, and Skybase, and Cephalopod, I believe, were their new cards, and they got some other trap cards and stuff too. They also got their Pot of Wealth support, which I feel like is mediocre at best. I feel like that I can only see the deck playing 1 copy of at most, because you only want to be recycling your scouts and stuff. But moving on anyways, Infernoid has an amazing Burning Abyss matchup because they contribute and banish stuff out of the graveyard, which will make their Seers, Skarms, and Graphs miss their effects. They can OTK a lot. They're untouched by the mirrors, shadow, and light, because they're fire monsters, obviously. And Anunku answers towers very easily, which, you know, a lot of decks right now have a hard time answering, despite a lot of builds even playing it. And still, when that you know, hurdle arrives, it can get over it pretty easily by bringing him out of grave or out of hand by banishing 3. Clifford still has awesome OTK power. They can swarm the field with that pendulum mechanic, untouched by the mirrors. They have amazing draw power now with Monolith. Not to mention that new Soul Transition card, Secret Rare, that just came out. Very hard to deal with sometimes because your rank 4s and stuff won't be able to kill their monsters, as they'll be unaffected by it with those, you know, nasty little effects they have. But however, they're easily sided against. You know, game 1 can be tough, it can be a blowout, but game 2 and 3 can be very, very easy if you side right. You know, your 3 Spell Shattering, your 3 Fairy Wind. And a lot of times this deck will make the mistake of siding even more Floodgates than they already play, like Vanities and Skill Drain, making your opponent's Fairy Winds more alive. So it just hurts this deck all around, and I feel like until they get, you know, a card to prevent that, this deck might bump up into the number 1 spot. But right now, in my opinion, holding the number 1 spot down is Burning Abyss. So many reasons why this deck is at number 1, but here are my few here. They have Fire Lake, which is a stupid card. Obviously, it gets rid of some of their monsters, but it can clear an entire board, floodgates and monsters or whatever, and you'll still get your effects, and you can still recycle that Fire Lake right back to your hand. They can swarm the field amazingly. They have easy access to Dante first turn. You have like a 90-95% chance of opening a first turn Dante, and which makes the deck extremely consistent, and we know that a consistent deck is one that does very well. Very often, or very, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I'll just say this. It is not often that you don't open up first turn Dante or double Dante or, you know, Dante and Virgil. It's something that happens very, very easily with this deck. They're very fast-paced, they can OTK really easily, and they've been untouched by the ban list with them being a TCG exclusive deck. I feel like it'll stay that way. I'm not really sure. We'll just have to see what the deck does in the future. But for now, solid number 1 deck. Absolutely incredible deck. From being a Burning Abyss player myself, I know this, you know, hands-on experience, that is a very, very powerful deck. And I feel like it'll be able to hold the number 1 spot until Cliffwords can, you know, get their act together with those sided cards being a huge issue for them. Obviously, they have Shadow Mirror to worry about and Soul Drain, but so does Shaddoll and Infernal Eights. And the deck can play around it very easy with Fire Lake, and it's just, oh my god, it's an amazing card. And yeah, enough talking up a Burning Abyss. That's been my top 10 decks of the format video. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on my opinions? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, because I definitely enjoy doing these types of videos. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to subscribe if you already haven't, guys. Your support means so much. And as always, winner kills, and we'll see you later.